Hello folks, welcome back to the Edupedia world, and I am Abhinay Gupta. And today again we'll continue with the standards on auditing. And the standard of auditing under consideration for today's lecture would be SA 501, Audit Evidence, Specific Consideration for Selected Item. So in the previous lectures when we were discussing about SA 500, right, over there at the end of the lecture I have already given you a gist of what is SA 501. So if you see, SA 500 was audit evidence, SA 501 is again audit evidence, but here we are seeing specific considerations for selected items, which means even for these selected items we have 3 selected items in this essay, and even for them the general procedures have already been covered in SA 500, right? But over here what we'll be dealing with is something additional, right? Something more than what we had been required in SA 500. So SA 500, for example, if they have given all the general procedure that is applicable to obtaining the audit evidences in all the fields, right? But there are 3 very specifically identified fields for which you have to perform certain other procedures, and that will be covered in SA 501, right? So if I give you a brief outline of what we are going to study today, right? So the objective of SA 501 is that the auditor needs to obtain sufficient and appropriate audit evidence regarding 3 things. One is the inventory, right? For inventory, what do we need to judge basically? What is the specific consideration that we are following? The valuation of inventory, the existence of the valuation of inventories, and the accuracy of the data and everything we have checked in the previous standard. In this standard what we are basically concerned is only with the existence and the condition, that is the physical inventory. Does it exist? Show it to me. What is the condition? Will it be able to be realized at the price that you are quoting? I'll have to judge it by physically verifying it, right? Next we have litigations and claims. Any litigation, any claim that is due on the company or by the company, right? So we'll have to judge the completeness of all the litigation and claim. Has the management given all the information regarding all the litigations and claim that is existing as on date, right? That is what we need to judge. We need to judge only the completeness assertion for litigation and claim. And at last, the segment information, the presentation and the disclosure of segment information, right? So basically there are these 3 categories: inventory, litigation and claim, and segment information. And for these 3 categories, the assertions that we will be testing is existence and condition for inventory, completeness for litigation and claim, and presentation and disclosure for segment information, right? So we are basically concerned with only these specific assertions, right? So what do we basically study in this standard is the procedures that we follow in order to fulfill these assertions, right? We need to ascertain these assumptions that yeah, they are complete or they are existing, and they are existing in a good condition, in the appropriate condition that we have been narrated, and the presentation and disclosure of the segment information, right? Now let us start with the very first portion, that is the inventories, right? And what are the assertions that we'll be checking for inventories? The existence and the condition of inventory. So whenever the inventory is material at any client, only then first assertion that you will check is materiality. If it is material, then you will check whether it is existing and at what condition is it existing. And for doing that, what you do is that I'll give you an example, right? So we have a client, a manufacturing client. At the year end, when I go to the client for auditing, right, I see their financials and I find a big amount on inventory. Since it is a manufacturing client, so it will have the goods, the raw materials, the work in progress, the finished good, the entire inventory, right? That is a major chunk. It is very material, right? So what we do is we perform for initially the basic calculations for that, the basic procedures. That okay, the opening balance, the inventory purchased during the year, the inventory sold during the year, the inventory is issued, the raw material that has been issued, the finished good that has been sold, right? And then what are the raw materials consumed and stuff, and we do all the procedures that we have in the general accounting, and then we come down to the figure of the closing inventory as on balance sheet date, right? So with that, what we have, this is the in the financials, what will reflect is the total inventory of raw material, WIP and finished good segregated. And if we have some packing material, if we have some other inventories, right, then even those will be specifically mentioned in the financial statement, right? So when you see the purchase of inventory, you see all the purchase documents, all the invoices, all the vouchers, right, where it is being routed, the internal control, everything. Those are the general procedures that you have been following as per the other accounting standards, right? When you're sitting in the office of your client, right, and you have all the documents in hand, you have all the financials, you have all the data in your laptop, and then you are working on that, till that portion, the entire thing that you do sitting in the cabin of your office, at the client's office, those portions are covered by some other accounting auditing standards on auditing, right? Now the only concern about SA 501 is that you get up of your seat, move out, go to the factory location or go to the warehouse and verify the inventory, right? But this SA again says that you are not supposed to go and check each inventory, that okay, you have this many categories of raw material, these are the quantities specified, let me count. No, that is not your task. That is the task of the management. Before giving you the entire list, the management has to ascertain that yeah, these inventories also exist with them in the physical quantity, right? So what you do is, when the management is undergoing that check, the inventory count, you will have to be present over there and you will observe the procedure, right? When you're present over there, when you see them counting everything, you see, okay, these things, they exist. And if you're seeing it physically in front of you, you also know that yeah, they are existing in a good condition, the condition that has been specified. If there are certain inventory that have been devalued, then they have also been specifically specified in my financials, right? So I have a different list for them. And what does the management do? They also provide you a printout list of the inventory that they have. So for raw material, yeah, there are around 150 items of raw material we have. These are segregated. These are the small items, these are the large items, and everything in the list. Along with that, you have another column where it is given the quantity and also the units. It is the number of pieces, kgs, liters, right, boxes. What is it? What is the quantity? But you will not be given the price over there because you're not concerned with the price. You have to do nothing with the price. All you have to check is the existence and the condition. So you just have two columns: the name of the inventory, the name of the item, and the quantity, right? Then when you see that the same sheet is also available with the employee personnel, the entity, the client personnel, right? They go on checking and they go on telling you that, sir, this is what we have checked, this is what is present over there. Look, there is a person, he is climbing up that stair, and then he's checking, he's counting. You'll say okay. What you will see is, you will discuss with the management what is the entire procedure that you have designed, right? What is the instruction that you have given to the team who has been there for the inventory count, right? When you see okay, and you evaluate sitting in your office, okay, these are what you are planning to do, okay, it seems good, or it would be better if you modify this. You get something modified and you go over there. Then over there, what you see is the procedure that has been specified by the management. Is that procedure being followed? If you see yes, they are working exactly as per the instructions of the management, you are satisfied, right? And then you see okay, that one person has just climbed up and he's checking certain boxes and he's counting the number of boxes. He opened the box, he checked them, but you are not able to see. What do? You will go ahead and inspect. You will tell them, please open the box, I want to see whether as per your confirmation there are 100 units in each boxes and you have 70 boxes. So let me see. On test check basis, you will check around 4 to 5 boxes. Yeah, they are filled. Get one box out, tell him to count the number of units in the box. He counted it, it's 100. So it's done, right? So basically you also perform the test count, and then when you are satisfied, everything is done, you come back and then you compare your sheet with the financials. Okay, as per the financial, these are the raw materials at this quantity and at this rate. So you multiply the quantity and rate, you check the quantity, right? And then you multiply the quantity and rate and you get the entire figure, and you see, okay, it's correct. But if there is any deviation from the records in the financial and the physical inventory sheet, then you will have to reconcile that. You will have to ask the management, please reconcile and tell me what is going wrong over here, right? So do you understand basically what is the entire procedure behind inventory? You also do the cutoff procedures and stuff, test like tag to sheet, sheet to floor. You have your sheet in the hand. I'm telling you in practical how you go for inventory count. Right? You have the entire sheet in hand. Then you will randomly select few items. Please show me where are these. And then the person takes you, so come here. Look here. We have counted, okay, it's 70. And the sheet, it's 70. Okay. Then again you are moving around the factory, you pick up some item. What is this? Where is it in the sheet? What is the quantity? And you check, okay. Then you are sure that all the items that are mentioned in the sheet, you have checked it on test check basis that they are also available on the floor. That means in the warehouse. And on random check, you pick up certain items from the warehouse and check whether they are listed in the sheet. That helps you to reconcile your sheet and the entire warehouse. That yeah, it is complete. All the data that are given are complete. Right? So let us see on the screen. Here we have, first is attendance at the physical count. What you do over there, you evaluate the instruction given by the management, right? The procedures for recording and controlling the result of the entity's physical counting, right? Then you observe the performance of the management's count procedure, whether they are performing the way they were instructed, right? If they are, yes, you are satisfied. Then you inspect the inventories, and then you test check, like the procedures we have already discussed, right? And when all these things are done, when you are satisfied that okay, the inventories have been checked, you come back and you check the final inventory record with the final record in your financials, right? You also have the soft copy of the printout that you have. You copy the column from there, paste it on the sheet that you have with the rates, right? Check the differences if any. If there is no difference in the quantity and you have the rate in hand, you get the value of inventory. And if there is some deviations, then you need to get it checked. You need to get it reconciled, right? So that is the procedure of inventory count that you follow. Correct? Next we move on. There are some procedures in some special circumstances, and this is the prime concern of SA 501. Procedures in special circumstances. So what are the special circumstances? First we need to see that. Number one, conducted on a date other than balance sheet date. Oh, because in your financial statement the data that you have is as of 31st March. The inventory that is recorded in that financial is as of 31st March. But the inventory count, that could not be performed on 31st March. That was performed say on 5th of April, say on 28th of March, 25th of March, whatever be the date, whatever is the convenient date for the client, right? Then what do? Then what you basically do is you perform additional procedures to check whether the movement in the industry, in the inventory, from, for example, if the inventory count was conducted on 25th March, then from 25th March up to 31st March, how many inventories of raw material have been issued for production? Are they recorded? How many are still stuck in WIP? What is the addition in the WIP because of those raw material coming in? What is the deletion in the finished goods? What has been already sold? Or what is the addition that have been produced? What is the addition in the raw material that have been procured further, like on 28th? Right? So these things you will have to ensure that all the transactions between 25th and 31st is properly recorded in the books of accounts. And then you reconcile that okay, these are the transactions and they are complete. When you have performed procedures and checked that yeah, they are complete, next step that you do is you reconcile. On 25th we had this many raw materials, you have these many raw materials procured, so you will add them. These many have been issued for production, so you reduce them, and these are the balance of raw material, right? Similarly you do it for the WIP and the finished goods. So okay, these are the finished goods that were produced up to 25th. Further there are again these many items that have been produced, please add them up. These many items have already been issued for sales, we'll deduct them, and then the balance will be confirmed. And that is how you reach the final figure on the 31st March, that is the balance sheet date. and then you reconcile that figure with your available data, and if it goes good, it's all correct. Right? So this is the special procedure that you follow if it is being conducted on some day other than the balance sheet date. Right? Then moving ahead, if the auditor is unable to attend the inventory count. Right? So for example, you in practical situation, you know that the inventory count, if it is being conducted on 31st December or 31st March, right, your audit begins only in April after the financials have been frozen. So physical inventory count is actually performed beforehand, before starting the audit. Right? At that point of time, maybe the auditor is involved with some other engagements with some other clients, and suddenly the client gives them a call. Sir, tomorrow we have the inventory count. Where? Sir, in Sikkim, Rangpur district. You say, okay, I'm sitting in Delhi right now. Sir, we will arrange your flight, sir. And you say, okay, but I was not informed about that, and I have my clients going on, I have an urgent engagement, I won't be able to leave. So, but that is the day we have to do the inventory count, sir. Then what happens? They will perform it. Let them perform it. Right? And you are not able to attend. No issues with that. Now you will have to see what are the alternate procedures that you can do. So the best alternate procedure that you can do in order to verify the inventory is, okay, do one thing, you do the stock take tomorrow, right? And I will be visiting your plant in Sikkim in the Rangpur district on 5th April. Arrange my flight ticket for them. Right? So because on 31st March they had to do the inventory count, let them do it. They have the data, and on 5th they will again perform the inventory count with the auditor present, and then the auditor will roll back to see what was the inventory as on the date, as on the balance sheet date. Right? So in the previous example we saw that it is conducted on the date other than balance sheet date. Right? So you have to do the adjustment. But now as it is conducted on balance sheet date or any date, but you are not able to attend it. So you perform on some other date. Now this is the third date. Right? For example, in the second case, it was supposed to be held on 31st March, but client holds it on 28th March. And you have attended it on 5th April. So what you do is, first you will see that, okay, you conducted it on 28th, I am seeing it on 5th. So from 5th to 28th, I will roll back. How? With again the same additions, deletions, right? I will roll back to 28th. And then again I will roll forward to 31st March. First I will reconcile the two things, your checking and my checking, reconciled, okay. Then that data with the balance sheet date, and then you arrive to the conclusion that, okay, now the final balance sheet date, the inventory as on balance sheet date is tallied. I have already verified their existence and their condition. Right? Next, attendance is impracticable. Now for example, there is a client dealing in some radioactive products, and the situation inside the factory, inside the chemical plant, is very hazardous, and they say that, okay, the laborers who are working over there, most of it is machine operated, right? You have huge chambers over there, but even the laborers who are working over there, they have been given the dose of the antidote, and they have to take a lot of safety precautions. And even though, since they are working over there, the lifespan reduces to 5 to 10 years, from 5 to 10 years. So it's a risky situation. If you want to go, we can arrange for a personnel who can go and check it for you. And the auditor says, no, I won't be able to go. I won't risk my life for that. Because that is not a compulsion for you. If it is impracticable to attend the inventory count, don't attend it. It is not a compulsion for you that, no, even if it is a threat to your life, you have to go there. No, you don't have to go there. Now another situation of impracticable, for example, your warehouse is in Assam, right, in Guwahati, and then there is a tense situation over there, and hence you are not able to do the inventory count, and that tense situation goes on from the mid of February to the end of April. If you are not able to do the inventory count, what do you do then? Right? Then you will have to apply your judgment. You will have to perform sufficient appropriate audit evidence. You'll have to perform alternate procedures to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidences. Right? Now what are the kind of alternate procedures you can perform in this case? Now you inquire the client, what is the lead period for holding the inventory? This is, sir, within 1 month the inventory is turned over, like it has been sold and new inventory has been replenished. New inventory takes the position. Okay, so 1 month, give me all the sale invoice for the next 1 month. So you take up all the sale invoice for the month of April, and you see, okay, if you say that X quantity of material Y existed, then X quantity of material, give me the invoice for those X number of quantities of material Y that you have sold. If they're able to give, it's okay, that means yeah, that was the number existing and they have given me the document, so it reconciles. If does not, no sir, we only have X minus 10 quantity, then where are the rest 10 quantities? So they are still in the factory, and they prove it. So see the stored ledger, it is still over there. It's okay. Similarly, you go on for next item and next item. Test check basis you do it, right? So that is another alternate procedure that you can perform if you are not able to attend. That will give you the conclusion, right? They say we had 100 units. During the month, next month you saw all the sale invoice. What did you find? That okay, 90 units have been sold. And if you check the store register, you see 10 items still available over there. Then you're okay with it. And if they have been sold, then it's well and good. Right? Next, the last one, inventory under custody and control of the third party. Now, for example, your client does not have a warehouse, or it has, but it does not have a sufficiently large warehouse, but it has a lot of inventory. What they do? They hire other warehouse. They involve the third party to hold their inventory and to manage their inventory. If you want to issue it, you just send them a document. Yeah, these many inventories need to be issued, and they issue it directly from their warehouse. If some more inventories are coming in, they get it settled at that warehouse itself. So that is a third party who is managing the entire inventory for you. Right? You may have more than one third parties. You may have one third party taking care of all the inventory, or you may have third party taking care of only the surplus inventory that you are not able to adjust in your warehouse. Right? So what you do is, again, you will have to obtain the sufficient and appropriate audit evidences. Right? How do you do that? By performing additional procedures. Now, what are those procedures? You will request the third party to give you a confirmation of the total inventory that they hold. Right? Your client has told you that, yeah, sir, X quantity of inventories are present with the third party in the warehouse. You will tell them, no, let me get a confirmation from the third party directly to me. Float a letter of confirmation, float a inquiry, and ask them to revert it back to you at your office address. Right? You can also perform inspection and other audit procedures. Go and inspect. But do you think it is so easy to go and inspect the premises third party? No, they will not allow you. They may have been storing inventories for hundreds of people, hundreds of companies. So will they allow the auditors from all the company to come and inspect, to disturb their procedure? No. You go there, they will not allow you inside. So what do you do? If you want to attend, right, what do? You will ask your client, hey, I want to attend it. Your client will request the third party, please, our auditor wants to see, like he has some doubt on that. Then the third party may allow, and then you go. That is a procedure, right? You cannot just directly go, no, the inventory belongs to my client, I have the right to see. You don't have the right to see. The premise belongs to the third party. Right? Or you can arrange for some other auditor to attend the third party's premise. For example, the auditor of the third party, you can ask him, please attend the premise, do the inventory count and let me know. Give me the report for that. He'll do it for you. Right? Or you can, if he has already performed the procedure, you can obtain the service auditor's report on the adequacy of the third party's internal control. If he has not undergone the inventory check, but he must have seen the internal control. So obtain a report that, yeah, if the internal control is good and they say this, okay, I'll agree. Right? Then you'll also inspect the documents, like the warehouse receipt. If they have received the goods, they'll have a receipt, they'll issue a receipt, the lorry receipt, the warehouse receipt. Right? The documents that you share for that information, when they send you that, yeah, we have received these documents, these goods, we have issued these goods, you send the document, authorized signatory, yeah, please issue this quantity to this lorry. So you can also inspect those documents. Right? And if there is a case that your inventory has been pledged with as a collateral security with a third party, for example, a bank, you have pledged your inventory, please keep my inventory and give me a loan of 2 crore rupees. When I pay off the loan, please give my inventory back. The bank does it. Bank takes the inventory as collateral security. Then you will approach the bank to give you a confirmation of the total amount or total quantity of inventory that the bank possesses. Right? That is the procedure these are the procedures that you follow when the inventory lies with the third party. Clear with that? So this is the entire procedure for your inventory, and we still have to complete the procedures for the litigation and claim and the segment information, and we'll cover it up in the next lecture. So please stay tuned for the next lecture. Until then, this is Abhinay Gupta signing off. Thank you. Bye bye.